Okay, I think we can get started now. So I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning or afternoon, as the case may be. My name is Mark Yohai. I'll be your host today. I'm joined with two folks, Jason Lieblich, our president and the brain trust of Exoprise, and Simon Dion, who's one of our senior solution engineers who will be giving you a live tour of the product today. So anyone who's had to try to figure out how to diagnose Teams or Zoom or WebEx quality issues, you know just how hard it is. And today we're going to show you how you can figure out what the problem is in 3 clicks or less. In fact, you know, our tool is so powerful, it can even tell you before users experience problems. But we'll get into that a bit later. And for everyone who stays until the end, this is really exciting. Anyone who stays until the end, we have a special offer. So you're going to want to stick around. You're not going to want to miss that. Jason, over to you.
Yeah. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on, the need for Teams monitoring or the growth, but we are going to mention that, Teams over the years, certainly due to a bunch of different factors, has grown in its usage, as well as other unified communication system platforms like Zoom or WebEx. Its use really has skyrocketed over the past couple of years, and it's due to a number of factors. I can't get to, there you go. So really driven by work that's changed forever, right? So in 2020, Exoprise, just as much as every other organization, for all the attendees today, sort of everything moved home for remote work due to the pandemic. And that accelerated adoption of these UC as a service apps, across the board. And now with hybrid work, you have people moving to and fro. Sometimes they're at home, sometimes they're in the office. Office conditions or networks might vary depending upon COVID, or might vary depending upon how many people are in the office. And one thing I like to point out to people is that even prior to the pandemic, the use of unified communications as a service tools was really growing. Slack was there and growing. And that's mostly because people are just inundated with 24/7 work. People work too much. They're always online. They're always connected, whether it's email or chat. And so those things really driven the growth of these UC as a service tools. And I'm not getting that next control, but that's okay. Now, all those factors, those previous factors of remote work, hybrid work, and 24/7 work also make it really difficult to diagnose any of these UC as a service tools. You are now far more dependent upon your at-home network. When you make it into the office, you are more dependent, obviously, on corporate LAN-WAN, SD-WAN that might have been put in place. And for many enterprises that we talk to, their own networks haven't really kept up with the with the network requirements, with the bandwidth and jitter and latency requirements that constant UC as a service usage demands. So some people have better communications and better backbone and better ISPs at home than they do when they make it into the corporate LAN-WAN. So that's made it tough to diagnose. And then certainly when people are on the go, airports, hotel rooms, hotel lobbies, Starbucks, all of these networks just contribute, all these different varied networks and topologies contribute toward to making it really difficult to diagnose Teams. Next. And the thing that I always like to tell people is people thought they were going to adopt the cloud and it was just going to be like, give them a browser and everybody could get to what they wanted to get to. But there really are lots of fragile dependencies in adopting something like Office 365 or Teams, or even Zoom for that matter, and WebEx. You have lots of dependencies on the device and its health. Wi-Fi, like we said earlier, on remote, work from home environments. VPNs, some customers that we have oddly tunnel or try to tunnel lots of traffic through VPNs. We're never really sure why. They have lots of LAN, WAN, and proxies. In many cases, customers had proxies that they had before, and they never thought about expanding them, even though all the traffic moved outside their own LAN, WAN. So they suffered through lots of proxy problems and gateway ISP problems. They have lots of third-party services, single sign-on, CDNs. If they're proxying everything, they often don't even try to figure out if CDNs are allowed through the proxy. So they have all kinds of difficulty in delivering content through Teams or SharePoint or OneDrive, which is all hangs together. And then finally, internet peering exchanges. Zoom, Exoprise is a small company, but we often suffer because we're largely on different kinds of ISPs. We might be on Charter, Comcast, Fios, and the bridging between these networks is usually pretty bad. And everybody suffers from Teams challenges and drop calls and call quality issues. So, and then finally, there's what many people, come to us and like, oh, I just want to find out when Microsoft's having problems and it's all Microsoft's fault. Usually it isn't. Usually we tell people that that's not the case. It's often their own devices, ISPs, backbone. But there are occasionally Teams problems that we help diagnose as well. Next slide.
All right.
I think you're going to take this one, Mark.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, it's hard. It's definitely hard. And thanks for illuminating some of the reasons why. But, we hear a lot of customers say, oh, well, we're going to use this tool or we're going to use that tool for that. And, let's take a look at those tools and how far they go or don't in terms of helping. So, first of all, if you're talking about Teams, you have Microsoft Service Health Dashboard, service status, service incident messages, and that kind of gives you a kind of up-down status on whether Teams is working or not, as well as for the other Microsoft services. Often, when there is a problem, the first thing they tell you eventually is, hey, we're investigating a problem. They often will tell you, well, any of your users might be affected. It's not a definitive response because they can't tell you which ones are, or they aren't sure, and maybe none of your users are. So a lot of customers get pretty frustrated with that. They find some of those statuses not very actionable, and that's really at a very high level. That's more of a, hey, is it working at all, versus are there call quality issues. For call quality issues, I cannot think of one of our customers who doesn't bring up and use the Teams call quality dashboard and call analytics. And these are great for looking at all the meetings and calls that happened, right? And, for these calls, they're typically, I think the average duration of a call is 42 minutes. And, what they're able to tell you is, for that 42 minutes, what was the overall quality? So you get some helpful insights. But a lot of problems are really brief, 1 or 2 minutes, can you hear me now, kind of thing. And so that call quality data is just not the highest definition in order to see those hiccups that occur during calls. And, a hiccup now and then isn't too bad, but when they happen meeting after meeting, day after day, for the same or different users, it's really important to be able to zoom in. Now, they might be able to tell you, hey, there's a connectivity problem, but what they can't do is drill down and tell you where that connectivity problem is. Is it the Wi-Fi? Is it the LAN? Or is it in the network between you and Teams? They can't tell you that. They don't try. And that can be very, very important because, the bad network could be anywhere along that path. If you think about the slide Jason showed, there's a lot of stuff in between. There's a lot of stuff in this service delivery chain, and the quality is only going to be as good as the weakest link. And now the last category of tool that we hear about increasingly more and more are quote digital experience tools. Basically endpoint agents that collect and analyze data about the device. You have tools like Eternity and NextThink, and there's quite a few, including Exoprise. Now, they might be able to help you with device and driver issues, that sort of thing, but they really fall short in a critical area related to this problem space. They're not application network aware, right? They're not trying to tell you if Teams or Zoom or WebEx, right, are executing transactions across the network in delivering a good experience. They're just focused on that endpoint. So they might be able to see things like the Wi-Fi signal strength, but they can't see whether that has an impact on end to end on the call quality, like if packet loss is occurring between two ISPs, right? This happens to us sometimes when Charter and Comcast are speaking, sometimes where their peering breaks down, right? Or it could be between a carrier, it could be between level 3 and Microsoft deeper into that external network, right? Or if that latency is large, it could be a routing problem. It could be sending the traffic the wrong way. All of these are the kinds of things that you need to know if you want to find that problem pretty quick. So, to summarize, these tools they just offer too little, sometimes too late, and because they're not real time, so it can't really help you get to the bottom of the thorniest issues. And it's really sensitive. One-way latency, round-trip latency, packet loss, jitter, packet reordering. These things have targets, thresholds, operating thresholds for good quality that Microsoft publishes, that these are what they are. And you need to know what's causing that packet loss, what's causing that jitter, right? The latency, why is it such a long round trip? And it can be really costly while you're trying to figure this stuff out. Some organizations will try anything. So a law firm told us it was like a whack-a-mole. They couldn't find any pattern. Sometimes it was users at home, sometimes in the office. And they took a strategy before they got Exoprise to just rip and replace end user laptops. Turned out to be a different problem, but it persisted. So they spent, a couple $100,000 doing that before we got in to help them. Another C-suite, right? That's just a group you just don't want. If you're in IT, you don't want those guys breathing down your neck. You want to make sure they're doing okay. Sometimes these folks have big meeting rooms outside their office suite, and that's where they conduct a lot of their meetings. And those, if those are bad, that's never a good thing. The other is a call center. Everybody knows you can pick up the phone and make a call, whether that call works when you're on the inside. But how do you know if the calls are coming in from your customers? You miss those calls, you could be missing business, you could create dissatisfaction among your customer base. A real serious problem. We got you covered on that, both for the C-suite and that inbound calling. So with Exoprise, really, you can really get to the bottom of it in 3 clicks. It's really elegant. It's really straightforward. You can, and this is how you do it. We can tell you right now, real time, is Teams working where you need it to? These are our, what we call cloud-ready synthetic sensors, or they're robots. And they make sure things are up and running and delivering great quality 24/7 by 365, right? When you know Teams is healthy, you know what? You don't need to go troubleshoot that, right? And by the way, if it's not healthy, and you want to check the service health dashboard, it might not know yet because it takes time for Microsoft to post those things. Okay. So, okay, Teams is fine. That's one click. So now let's take a look at your user devices, right? We are going to be scoring the health across hundreds of real-time metrics, CPU, disk, memory, right? And you can look at groupings of devices, which ISPs are they coming from? Where are they located? What departments are they in? Right? It's a score. We give you a score of 1 to 10, right? 1 is bad, 10 is good, right? If your devices are fine, right, it's not the device. And guess what? That leaves only one thing, the network. So you can look first at the device's connectivity to its local network, the Wi-Fi signal, all those goodies you expect from any digital experience tool, right? So you can rule things out like the LAN, right? You've ruled out that, it's not Microsoft, it's not the user device. That leaves the network in the middle. And these are the good bits. So, during that call where a user said, hey, it was bad, how does that end-to-end hop-by-hop network look? So we're going to enable you to visualize that in 30-second granularity. Remember, some of these issues don't last very long. And it's even when the caller meeting is in progress, right? So we look for what could cause the quality, and we're going to highlight it for you right in the network path and tell you not only that you have a network problem, we're going to tell you where, even if it's on somebody else's network.
Yeah, I think this is mine. Hey, Mark, could you go back a slide? I just want to reinforce one thing for everybody, right? So one of the things that I talk to customers about all the time is that, we use the slogan "Rum plus robots." And it's really all about proactive alerting for when Teams or Zoom or WebEx is going to have a problem, right? You're going to know before your users get on a call and something doesn't work, right? So that's proactive notifications. If you're only using real user monitoring to monitor Teams or Zoom or WebEx, then some user is going to be impacted before you know about a problem. If there's a problem, it's surfaced on some user because you didn't have proactive notifications, proactive alerting. So Service Watch Desktop brings complete coverage for every sort of network and every condition. So that's why we do Run plus Robots. That's why we do real user monitoring plus synthetics, so that you can know beforehand about a problem and you can get complete coverage for every condition those users might be in, whether they're at home, on the road, at a Starbucks. And that's what you need to cope with and manage the SaaS digital experience, or UC as a service digital experience. So next slide. So Exoprise provides both of those in one platform, and that's what some of these screenshots are. And we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into how we offer that, and then Simon is going to do a demonstration of it. So you can see that we have synthetics for all of the Microsoft 365 services deployed throughout these different sites all across the globe, depending upon what kind of organization you are. If you're just, regionally more focused, then you're not necessarily going to need to deploy to and fro all these synthetics. But we also we support public sites, so you can deploy to our computers, or you can deploy to your own computers. We also are enabling deploying synthetics to real user monitoring sites. But in this case, this is the first step. Check to see if the service is working. So does Teams audio video conferencing, which is a full test against our Azure hosted bots, which is testing and measuring audio and video streaming quality. If it looks good, you know it right then and there, it's not Teams. And we're also capturing a full set of metrics during these synthetic conversations, which you can see on the next page. So when you are proactively alerted about something, when one of those bubbles was red on the previous screen or dashboard, you can drill down to capture to look at all this information over time. You can drill for errors, context and capture. You can get real-time alerts and long-term trending out of these synthetics. And one of the more novel things is you can do a crowdsourced comparison. So we will show you what every one of these metrics means and how your environment stacks up to the crowd. So you can get instant network benchmarks or instant Teams end-to-end service benchmarks for all of your different locations that you have end users in. So you can capture audio jitter, video jitter, packet loss, synthetically and proactively before a user might depend upon it. And when there's a problem, we make it real quick and easy to decipher where that problem is, so you can escalate it to your help desk, your service desk, your incident management systems. Next. So if you're not seeing a problem with the Teams, synthetically or proactively, the next step is, when you're talking to that user or somebody's reporting an issue, get their name, instantly get to their device from our product by just typing in right into the global search. You can search by user or machine name, and you can immediately get to ServiceWatch desktop data for that user. Next slide. And from there, you can, as Mark was talking about earlier, the scores, you can immediately see the device experience score and all of the metrics that we capture as frequently as 30-second intervals, all the asset information, real-time resource scores, top 10 processes for memory, IO, and network, and additionally deep network visibility for each device. And Exoprise was always sort of born in the cloud. You can deploy ServiceWatch Desktop really easily and securely to any user's machine, whether they are on the corporate LAN or out at home, remote workers, and everything is securely collected at our servers hosted in the cloud. So this gives you complete visibility into, back one. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. So again, Mark said he check the scores. It's not the device overall resource characteristics, but you can also see an increased path latency for this device. When we say path latency, we are analyzing the UDP streaming from Teams in real time and dissecting the hop by hop between where the Teams client is located, obviously on that user's device, and to the relay that it's talking to. Now, it could also be a peer-to-peer conversation that's happening. So we will inspect that hop by hop path every 30 seconds and analyze it for latency, jitter, and packet loss while a Teams meeting is happening. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see an example. Well, you'll also scroll for granular context to capture Wi-Fi signals, link quality, gateway round trip times. If that looks okay, then you'll go and you can drill to UDP or streaming hop by hop detail for the Teams quality of experience. And on this, we're constantly capturing packet loss, latency, and jitter for that real-time Teams conversations that are occurring. And it's also for Zoom, even this Zoom meeting that we're all in, for the people, for all of the Exoprise customers that and any of our customers that have joined us today that have ServiceWatch Desktop deployed, they're capturing real-time metrics for their Zoom meeting. And we also have proactive VoIP sensors for Zoom and WebEx. And you can diagnose hop by hop ISP issues. You can see where the bridging is having problems, increased packet loss, increased round trip times. And that's often the real core problem, which is an ISP issue that a user may be suffering. And over time, if that continues to be a problem for that user, then you may just have no choice, but he has to switch ISPs or upgrade his own Wi-Fi network or upgrade his gateway and switches. And this is what ServiceWatch Desktop is really good at 3 clicks to getting to.
All right. Thanks, Jason. All right, so now we're actually going to dive into the product. Simon, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. Let me go ahead and grab the screen from you. And let me know once you can see it there.
We got it.
All right, perfect. So as soon as you deploy a sensor inside of Exoprise, the dashboards are going to start populating with information, and you can start customizing those dashboards. You can do a whole bunch of different views and collect data and show the different data the way that you want it. Right now, though, we're looking at one of the out-of-box Office 365 dashboards. And right out of the gates at the top, you'll have your solution health, which lets you know how well your sites are running, if there's any errors that have triggered, and alarms that have triggered. In the map, you can see all of the different sites where they are. And the nice thing about this is if there's like an outage or something like that, you can see if it's maybe affecting only the East Coast, or if all of the dots in here are red, that could mean that there's like a global outage or something. So you'll be aware of that. You have visibility into it and you can see what's going on. To the right of that in the heat map, you'll be able to see all the green dots. These are all of the different sensors that are running at each one of the sites. You can take a quick look here, see if there's any red dots in here, and that means that you may need to look into something or something's going on. Below that, you have your alarms and sensor grid. The alarms are going to show any alarms that are currently active or any alarms that have happened and have already been resolved. And then on the sensor grid, you can see how well the sensors are trending, see if they're doing better than they were the last time or over the last period of time. So right now, if it's at the 3 hours, over the last 3 hours, it's these two here have been improving. These two have gotten a little bit worse. So it gives you a great idea of how these are performing. And below that, we're able to pull the Office 365 messages and statuses. These are directly from the admin center. So we're able to pull them directly into our dashboards, which makes it so so your users don't have to actually log in. So if someone isn't an admin and the tenant for Office 365, they can still see this information. Now let's pull up one of our sensors and we'll use the Teams one here. Real quick, just like Jason pointed out, these sensors can be deployed to either private sites or public sites. And private sites are machines that you own, public sites are the ones we're hosting. At the top of every single one of these sensors, you'll have a quick glance at how well the sensor is performing. So you can see the crowd information, how well it's comparing to that. You can see the trending as well as the sensor health. In the graph here, you're able to enable or disable the crowd. So if you want to be able to compare how well you're doing compared to everyone else, or if there's an issue happening and you want to see if the other Exoprise users are experiencing that issue, you can quickly see that information here. At the bottom, we have our different tabs. The alarms will show you alarms that have triggered, anything that needs to be looked into. The errors, and the reason I picked this sensor here is because we're able to see these. We're able to see there's issues with DNS here. Looks like the machine may have lost internet at some point. So you're able to see if there's actually something going on. And with the filters, you're able to go back, which will show you a little bit more on the Service Watch side. On the next tab over, you'll have your data point details. This right here is going to be each one of the metrics that we collect every time the sensor runs, and you're able to compare it to the crowd. So you can see how well your round trip times are. So mine are much higher than the crowd. So there may be something going on that needs to be looked into on this sensor. Next tab over is going to be your network path performance. This is going to be the hop by hop information of the hop by hop traffic breakdown of when the sensor runs. So every time it runs, we're going to collect this data. You can see the amount of packet loss, the round trip times, and you are able to identify here if the issue is on the local network, on the internet, or maybe it's the team server that this is connecting to that's having the issue and causing the slowdowns. All of the metrics being collected by Exoprise will make it identifying and resolving Teams issues much easier and faster. But what if an end user reports an issue and you verified the sensor's running without any issues? That's where Service Watch is going to come into play. So at the top, you can quickly search for a user or device, and I'll go ahead and pull myself up here. And right when you pull up a machine, you'll have that device experience score that we pointed out earlier in these slides. This is an indicator of the overall experience a user is having on this machine. If it's low, they're probably having problems and something needs to be looked into. We're also collecting a ton of environmental information about the machine, such as the domain, hardware information, and even the serial number. At the top right, you can filter the time frame you want to look at. So if I switch this to the last hour, you'll see the graphs and everything quickly update. Under the network latency here, you're able to see the latency and network utilization. If you're on Wi-Fi or Ethernet, it'll be able to tell you how utilized it is. Down below that, you can get a set of the resources or all of the resources for the machine. So you can see CPU, disk, memory. You can see Wi-Fi signal. If maybe the Wi-Fi signal is really low, it could indicate that maybe they're too far away from the wireless access point or router, or maybe something's going on with that device and it's time to upgrade it or replace it. If we switch our time frame back a little bit here, I want you to see the reliability information. This is going to be, let me go back actually 24 hours here. This is going to be Windows updates that have been applied, application crashes, blue screens that have happened on the machine, or just like straight slow startups. You're able to see all this. So the nice thing about that is if someone reports an issue, you're able to go in here and say, all right, well, Teams has been crashing every hour for the last week, or even maybe there was a driver that was pushed out to the machine recently, and that's what started causing the issues on that machine. Both the top app and core apps are going to give you the top 10 applications. Top is going to be just all of the applications on the machine. Core is going to be just the top 10 core applications on that machine. And core applications are going to be your business critical items such as Zoom, Teams, Chrome, that kind of stuff. If you click into any of these processes, you can see the resource usage over the period of time that you have specified. And if I switch this back to, let's say 1 hour here, this is the CPU that's been used by Zoom over the last hour. And if I'm not sure what that process is, I want to quickly look it up. I have the option to click the external link here, which will do a Google search of it. So I can make sure that process should even be on that machine. If I switch back over here under the connected networking, I'm going to see the TCP traffic of the core applications running on this machine. So Teams right here, for example, I can see my round trip times. I can see which one was the longest, as well as the amount of data that was sent out. The crowd options for Service Watch Desktop are going to be handled a little bit differently. This is going to be based off of all the machines in your tenant that are using Service Watch. That way you can compare how well this machine is performing to all the other ones in your environment. If we go back up to the top under the stream networking here, we're able to collect the UDP traffic of applications. And in here, we actually have our Zoom meeting. This is what this is the actual meeting that we're in right now. We're able to see all the packet loss and jitter and round trip times that have been taken during this call. So every time that this application is running, we're constantly collecting this data. If we scroll down, here's the Zoom or the Teams information, and we can see here that in Teams, I had some really high packet loss and jitter. Actually, sorry, round trip time and packet loss here over this period of time. So the red dots are indicative of that, right? It tells you maybe something's going on at the local area or local area network, or maybe it's something across the internet, or maybe again, it's the Teams servers, or if you're in a direct call with someone, it'll reflect that as well. So the last thing I want to point out, because we do see Zoom in here on the screen, Jason mentioned this earlier, we do have the AWS VoIP sensors available. And these sensors will work just as a VoIP sensor for any application, right? You're able to see directly from Amazon's web servers how well the sensors are performing. Zoom is hosted up there. So if you wanted to keep track of the performance, see if there's any slowdown or outages, keep yourself informed and the key players of your organization aware of issues that may be occurring. So you can quickly communicate it out and let everyone know that they're maybe having problems. Thanks, everyone. I'll go ahead and pass it back over to you, Mark and Jason.
All right. Cool stuff. Thank you.
Hey, absolutely.
All right. So let's continue. So look, with Exoprise, look, we're not solving, world hunger, but we can get you incredible results incredibly fast, right? That law firm, found out it was how their HQ was connected to the internet. They had a multi-home network, so the problems were with one of their ISPs. One of them had a bad circuit, right? They were ripping and replacing PCs, which had no impact. Brought in Exoprise, they were able to see that pattern very quickly. You know why? Because they could drill down hop by hop and see that, hey, no, we're only having these problems when users are in the office going through their secondary ISP. They were able to fix that up and save boatloads of money. Those C-suite guys were pretty happy too. After IT came in with Exoprise, they could prove it was the LAN, some misconfiguration on their local area network into that meeting room. And again, hop by hop, network insight is how they were able to visualize that quickly and fix up that situation And guess what? That helps them get more budget for more Exoprise and more other tools and things that they need to do their jobs. And that inbound call center, now they have real-time visibility into the reachability from the outside. So before, they never knew that. They never knew for sure unless they had a person try to call the call center, every 5 minutes. Now with Exoprise, that's an automated process, and they know instantly. When Teams is down, I know we mentioned this before with our synthetics. Service Health is going to tell you, oh, there's a Teams outage. They're going to tell you eventually. Exoprise, on average, since 2016, has captured every Teams outage 57 minutes before Microsoft gave its first indication they were investigating a problem. So in terms of being proactive and getting out in front, that's really getting you that time back, giving you a few clicks to figure out what that problem is. That's where Exoprise really, really, really shines. And, we show a lot of screens and a lot of charts and a lot of detailed metrics, and you need those, right? You're looking for a needle in the haystack. But with that being said, it is extremely easy to use, right? You can do this yourself, right after this call, or even during this call. You could be signing up for a trial, deploying ServiceWatch Desktop, and you'll be seeing that real-time Zoom insight, right out of the gate. You could then deploy synthetics right on that very same machine. It is super easy. The dashboards unfold automatically for you. After a period of time, Exoprise learns what normal is, right? And with a combination of AI and machine learning, we're going to set those thresholds. So those proactive notifications, you don't need to think about that. Those are going to be set up for you automatically, right? And while you're using it, if you want, you can even hook it up directly through one of 3 or 4 different mechanisms to hook it into ServiceNow or Splunk or SCOM or Power BI, whatever existing systems. We're not trying to replace those. We're trying to coexist with those and work with what you have. And then lastly, it is super easy to buy, right? I think something like 88% of our customers sign up for a free trial, deploy some of this monitoring, get their benchmarks, get their network benchmarks, solve some problems with ServiceWatch that are closer to the end user or the network in between. And they go, you know what, we want to keep this. And they can sign up right within the product. E-commerce is built in. Sure, we have enterprise plans, we have volume discounts, we have consulting and professional services available. But for many customers, you don't need that because we've engineered it to be so easy to sign up, use, and even buy. And I mentioned there'd be this special offer. So anyone who is so inclined, we have a coupon code, and the coupon code is called "Find in 3 clicks." Now, I've chatted to everybody the coupon code. So where do you use the coupon code? You use that when you're signing up to a paid plan. And how do you find that in the product? Trust me, it's easy. There's a buy now button. And the product itself will probably remind you when your free usage runs out. So you're probably thinking, well, how much does this cost? So plans start without the coupon for as little as $100 a month. And you can cancel anytime you want. You can pay as you grow. You can scale up or down. So you have full. It's dynamically built. So you have that control. You're always in control with the Exoprise solution. And let's. I think we're at the point where we'll begin to take questions.
Yeah, I saw somebody else asked a question about how ServiceWatch and Exoprise solutions interact with the call quality data. And so one of the things that has proven helpful for our customers is, since we're executing synthetics against real teams every 5 minutes, generating consistent baselines. That data is captured by the call quality dashboard data. So our synthetic baselines are visible in Microsoft's call quality data, and that can give you a proper baseline for any kind of network condition that you're trying to affect. We have network administrators who might be altering DSCP settings or changing routers or changing DNS hosts. These are the things that always mess up a SaaS deployment or SaaS delivery. So our synthetics are clearly evident in the call quality data. So when network administrators are altering their environment, they don't have to wait around for a week to ask users if stuff got better or worse. They can see it with our synthetics and the baselines just by running it, just by having it running while they make these changes. I don't know how anybody, I don't know how any network administrator makes changes to their environment without having some proper baseline. I mean, I guess they must just hope for the best, or ask a trusted user later on if it got better, but it just doesn't seem to us to be a good way to do it. For the ServiceWatch desktop data, we are integrating call quality data along with our hop by hop telemetry, and that's going to be coming to market within the next month, where you will be able to see both the call quality data and Exoprise hop by hop together.
And that's important. Let me just add to that a little bit. One of the things that we hear frequently from customers is, they get these tickets, users complaining about quality of a call. And, imagine a scenario where there's 10 of you on a call or in a meeting, right? It only takes one person, maybe the presenter or somebody, asking a question to ruin the experience for everybody else. So some people may have a bad experience because of some other participant. And so you could spend a lot of time troubleshooting, and maybe that participant isn't submitting a ticket. So, in terms of finding the needle in the haystack, knowing who else was in that meeting that was a bad call, and if you kitted them up with ServiceWatch Desktop, you can really quickly, identify that particular user who did have a real technical problem in that call. Because otherwise, everybody's rated it a poor call. Call quality is going to tell you it's a poor call. And again, it's fuzzy, it's a blurry. Sure, there were 10 people in a call, it was a poor call. Who was the one? Or was it Teams? Or was it the network in between? So we really give you that roadmap to finding out what the heck happened, so you can begin to remediate that situation. All right. Well, I think if there are no more questions, we want to thank you all for joining us. Please don't forget, find in 3 clicks. That's a coupon code. It'll give you 50% off the first month, so long as you sign up before the end of November. And certainly all of you can sign up for a 15-day free trial simply by going to the URL exoprise.com free trial, and see for yourself that literally in minutes. There's a ton of resources also available on our website, videos that can walk you through things, white papers, data sheets, and you can always contact us also directly from the website. So I want to thank you all, and that concludes today's webinar.